Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wake Up, the weekly live show from Uprint. My name is Matt Ham, and this is Kevin Adams, and we are the co-founders of Uprint, a faith development organization, and glad that you guys have joined us. This is part of our weekly video newsletter. We talk about ideas that really want to help you see the upside of upside-down living, like take your faith journey kind of to the next level and to begin to kind of develop that. So, Kevin, one of the things that really has hit me, and I'm a dad to 4 kids, and it is crazy town. In fact, this morning before the show was launching, we were having a moment downstairs with one of them, and never a dull moment.
Stay tuned. You may hear some.
That's right. You never
screaming.
You never know. You never know at the Ham House. But one of the things that's hit me recently is this question that I'm going to throw it out there, and it's: do we idolize our children?
That's the question.
That's the question.
Do we?
Do we idolize our children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we?
Yeah, that's
maybe the better question.
Right. And so I want to distinguish between the difference between loving our kids and caring for them and idolizing them. Because the question is, I think, in culture is that we do idolize our children.
Right.
But we know we shouldn't.
Yeah, it's I look at it as, I've got a video of the third day of school. First grade, kindergarten,
right.
They're doing a Broadway show and they're 3. I got to be there and video the whole thing, and wow.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah,
you can tell I'm biased.
So, but see, you've raised 3 children.
Yeah.
And your girls and your son, they're grown,
right.
And so let's talk about this. What does it look like to idolize our children, and where is the danger in that?
Yeah. Well, the law, the greatest commandment says, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. And so I think what happens is we tend to sort of make that generic when it's very specific. Mm-hmm. Because, yes, other people, there's a lot of them, but there's only one God. Mm-hmm. So it's incredibly specific. And He's first. And it also says, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. What are these things? These are all of the things in life that we need, desire, pure desire from God. And so everything is covered. If all means all, then it doesn't mean seek God first only. It means seek only God. And all these things will be added. So all that said, my answer would be very careful that your children are important to you, but they are not sitting on the throne in your heart that Jesus needs to be sitting on. And you have to stop because you love them so much, but you got to love God more. In other words, you have to practice the affection for God first and foremost above your own children. And that can be difficult, but we have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, so what kind of brought this to mind is, my boys just kicked off T-ball. Which they love T-ball, and my dad's their coach, and it's wonderful.
Yeah,
but in this mode, you see all these families and all these kids, and mine are at a very young age. But then it gets into this travel ball, and it's like every night, every weekend, life is about this. Yeah. Now, confession is, I grew up that way. Mm-hmm. I mean, I grew up at the ballpark, and my parents made so many sacrifices for me to be able to do that.
Sure.
And this isn't a condemnation of that. It's just this mindfulness of how do you begin to kind of navigate this territory as a parent who wants the best for your children, who wants to put them in the position to be successful at whatever sport. But when you're in 3 sports at one time, and it's just, your whole life, it's like you're sacrificing your marriage on the altar of your kids.
Right.
You're sacrificing your faith on the altar of your kids.
That's
and all of these things. And so it's just really interesting to me to start to press into that.
Yeah.
And say, what's really going on here?
Well, a lot of people, a great example is travel ball or is some, taking piano or whatever. I think the difference is you allow your children to explore their gifts and you foster them. That is a different thing than trying to get a college scholarship when they're 6 and they're going to get a scholarship. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to push this. They're going to every training camp, every single thing, just because I got the money to afford it. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to groom them for a full scholarship when they're 18 years old. To me, that's a little presumptuous of what God's got planned for them. So I think there's a balance there, but it comes with a trust and a faith in what God's trying to do in their life, rather than your will over what you expect based on logic and your culture.
That's huge. One quick thing on how do you start to navigate that then? Because, you see your kids, they have a love for the sport, or they're good at it, and so how do you begin to navigate, all right, I don't want to idolize this or idolize them or idolize whatever, and I don't want to impress my will upon them getting a college scholarship and so forth. But, how do you begin to take that before God and say, all right, God, here it is?
Sure. Yeah, well, it's difficult. I think, all of our children have gifts. And, I can use music as an example. My daughter, my middle child, oldest daughter, is incredibly gifted. She can pick up any instrument and play it. She can play. She's just got that gift. So early on, we recognized that. And but she's not doing it for a career. Right now, she's doing language translations and just other things, exploring other things. But see, to me, that's great because that leaves God's will as the pattern, instead of, well, we know you're so good at this, right. and we've given her the opportunities, but we've allowed her, and the older she got, the less constraint or sort of guidance.
Yeah.
So early on, they need guidance, but you have to be very careful that that's coming from a spiritual place rather than up here. Well, I must do this.
Yeah.
So I don't want to overtalk it, but I think it's this idea that you have to let go gradually and foster the gifts, let them unfold.
The thing that comes to mind to me as a picture is that you plant seeds and you water them.
Yeah.
You don't stand over them.
Exactly.
And we've talked about this before, and demand that fruit, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like grow and fruit,
Exactly.
And so you plant seeds, you water it, you cultivate it, but it's all with an open palm to let God do His work.
That's right. You keep planting seeds.
Right.
You don't stop.
Sure.
And stand over that one and say, hey, you have to grow. And that's hard. That's stressful. That's striving. That's I'm committed. Look at me. Glory to me by accident.
Yeah.
Look what I just raised up. These awesome kids. Instead of going, look what God created. How can I steward this, Lord, for you? And that's surrender. That's peace.
Yeah.
And it has to have that peaceful feeling. Because either you trust that God's going to do it or not. And so I'm not saying it's that simple all the time, but it has to have that peaceful, restful trust to be healthy, I think.
Yeah, well, that's the starting point. Well, if you guys would like more, we are a mentoring organization. We would love to walk along with you guys. You can sign up for our newsletter at uprint.life or reach out to us directly from the website there with our email addresses. Thank you guys for being here, and we will see you back next week.